Hi Queens, Snowy here. So I'm on a food run and I figured that I would make this video and be a productive individual. So this video is about really beginning a journey of true self-love, how to do it, where it begins, where it stems from, and how to start the journey. So first off, in order to really love thyself, you must first know thyself. Okay? Now, it's just similar to how you can't know exactly how to get where it is you want to go if you don't know where you are in the first place. The very first thing you have to do when you put in the GPS is you have to select my location, or put in the location to which you are going to be departing from. So the same goes for all aspects of life and the self-discovery journey. Okay? So you have to learn that you are a perfectly imperfect goddess walking this earth, and that we are all beautifully flawed, and we all have our own flaws, whatever we may perceive these things to be, whatever we consider to be flaws. Okay? So a big aspect of the self-discovery journey, because I consider the self-discovery journey to be that of self-love, because you do it for yourself and you're doing it as a form of love. Okay? So two big aspects of that, which I mention quite frequently, because in my humble opinion it is the way, or they are the main avenues to which you will travel. So the first being self-awareness, and the second being self-acceptance. Okay? So I'll start off with self-awareness, because it kind of goes to what I just mentioned, of how in order to know where you're going, or in order to plan where you're going, you have to know where you are. Now, self-awareness is how you do that. It's how you accomplish this. So steps of self-awareness would begin at, why is it that you do the things that you do, the undesirable behaviors that you act upon? Why is it that you do them? Where did you learn them from? And this goes for negative thought patterns also. Primarily, most of these things come from our thoughts, and it's very imperative that we focus on this, because our thoughts are the fuel to which we act upon. Okay? Because without the thought, you would never take the action. Okay? With the exception of fight or flight, which is a completely natural response when you are in a state of emergency, trauma, whatever the case is. I digress. So the first aspect of self-awareness is you have to be aware of what the negative thought patterns that you are holding are. From there, you have to understand where you came from, who taught them to you, where you learned them from. Okay? Because when you root it, this is how you get deep into the root. Just like when you're gardening, you can chop off the top all day, but if you don't get down to the root and take out the weed, it's going to continue to fester up and grow. You have to get it from the source. Okay? So for an example, I personally have I don't have negative thought patterns about money. However, they're not quite as strong as they should be. And I say this because I wasn't taught how to deal with it possibility of it, how to handle it, things like that. So when I was at a lower vibrational state in my life, when I was in the beginning stages of my self-discovery journey, I would say things like, I'm broke, oh, I don't have any money, God, I have to make so much money, shit like that, okay? Now, these thought patterns were not because I was insufficient in my ability to make money, because quite frankly, I'm a hustler. I always have been. I've been a massage therapist since I was 20 years old, and I've been doing it since then. I'm 29 now, and I've been doing it for 9 years. And it's my passion, it's my craft, and I literally had 3 jobs for a while. So like literally, I spend a lot of my time in my work. That's a different, completely different thing though. That's a different video. So anyway, going back to the example of the negative thought pattern, I would have those patterns of like, fuck, I'm broke, fuck, I don't have any money, fuck, how am I gonna handle this, yada yada yada. Now these are negative thought patterns that I was taught by not being taught how to deal with money when I was a child. Does that make sense? I hope so. So, you know, with that, it's kind of like, you know, you have to learn the source. You have to learn where you got these thoughts from, where you got that this was okay, that this was acceptable, that this was the way that shit is. Like, you know, thinking that you have to struggle and that struggling is a way of life. No, it's not. It's just a thought pattern that's been ingrained in you, and it's something that you have accepted, or it's something, you know. Now, it's not placing blame at all, because there are things that you don't know, there's things that you know you don't know, and there's shit that you're just completely oblivious to even knowing that you could have a sense of knowing, okay? So it's really important that you are kind to yourself, and that you are understanding of your own situation. Like people who are indoctrinated in a religion, you have to, it's the way you were taught. You can't be mad because you went to church and was constantly fed all of those things. That shit happened. You understand? So when it's time to unlearn these things, you have to be kind to yourself, because there are a lot of times, you are going to have a lot of times where you're going to feel ashamed, you're going to feel a little embarrassed, and you're going to feel a little upset at the fact that you maybe live this life, or maybe you thought that these things were acceptable, or maybe you were living this lifestyle. No, it's a part of the self-love journey, but without conquering this step, you'll never reach the next, okay? So it's really important. The next aspect of the whole self-love is, it goes into what I was just saying, it's self-acceptance. You know, again, you just have to learn that the things that you experienced were all a part of your divine path. Now, whether you could have chosen a different decision, done something a little bit differently, you know, broke it off earlier, whatever those things are, they're relative, okay? They really are relative. You just have to accept that where you are now is far more important than where you were, okay? Alright, so I got my veggie chow mein, my Thai iced tea, and we're ready for part 2. So, the next aspect of this self-love journey and how to truly begin it is practicing self-care. Now, self-care is different for each person, okay? personally, when I was really diving into spirituality, like when I completely immersed myself, I watched a lot of, let me backtrack, because a lot of you may not know. If you're familiar with me through Instagram, at Poetic Touch, then you know maybe that my self-discovery journey was rooted in heartbreak. So it was rooted in heartbreak. It was a terrible, terrible heartbreak. I experienced a lot of grief and deceit, and my heart was fucking shattered. And this experience is what really sparked my self-love journey. I actually, in my form of retaliation for the relationship, I decided that I was going to go on a self-love tour. And I was, that's literally what I coined it. I called it a snowy self-love tour. And I took my ass all the way to Greece, alone. More than 35 hours of travel by myself, halfway across the world, for a month to live there for yoga teacher training. Anyway, I'm not telling you to go on a trip to Greece. I am encouraging you to go on a self-love tour of some type, whether that's going from the park to the nail salon to get a pedi, to a restaurant to pick yourself up some lunch. I'm definitely encouraging those types of things, because self-care is imperative. You cannot give from an empty cup. And this is something that, as women, we're natural nurturers, and we want to take care of everyone, and we want to make sure that everyone is provided for. But with that, you have to make sure that you are taken care of wholeheartedly as yourself, as your own being. You cannot lose yourself in the roles you play. You have to be true to yourself, because before you were a wife or a girlfriend or a mother, you were you, okay? And you have to make sure that you take care of yourself, because the happier and the more evolved you are as an individual, the more that you can provide, and you can be there for your family. You can be there for your friends. You can be there for your best friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you do these things, when you take care of yourself and take steps of self-care practices, you are loving other people. Like, this is not, it's a selfish act, but it's not only for you, it's for everyone. You know what I'm saying? So with that, my journey was rooted in heartbreak. I don't know what your journey is rooted in, but whatever it is, find something that motivates you. Find something that sparks you. Find something that lights a fire under your ass. Okay? Personally, I listen to a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of motivational speakers, Lisa Nichols, Les Brown, on more metaphysical, on a more metaphysical scale, Abraham Hicks and Alan Watts. And I listen to these people when they'd speak and they'd say motivational things, or things to just really make you think and make your mind go. And really, I find that when you're listening to these things, to these motivational speakings, to these professions, to these things that are being, these words of positivity that are being professed to you, you have no choice but to step out of your current negative thought pattern and to step into the one to which you are receiving. Okay? And with that, I would also advise that you are more selective and cautious. This is a terrible phone holder. More selective and more cautious in the music that you're listening to, because all things are vibration, and the music that you're listening to plays a really, really big role in your emotions and feelings and thought patterns. Okay? It's a subconscious act. Yeah. So, let's see here. What's the next one? Oh, yeah. Affirmations, journaling, buy yourself some flowers, get a massage, do the self-care tour like I talked about a second ago. Do something that resonates with you. Do something, to show yourself a sense of love and appreciation. Do not wait for people to do that for you. Take the initiative in doing those things for yourself. Because I find that when you do these things, when I was younger, I used to say, oh my gosh, I would love it if a man bought me flowers. That would be so nice. I've been single most of my adult life, to be honest. I've had 2 serious relationships. I've never had a man in my life like that. I said fuck it one day and I started buying my own flowers. It's been years and I buy myself flowers every week. It's a form of self-love. It's how I love myself. I want the flowers, so I'm gonna go and get the flowers. I'm gonna live my life without flowers just because no one else is purchasing them for me? What kind of stupid shit is that? I'm sorry. Let me take it back a notch. But you understand what I'm saying, okay? So, journaling is another way of practicing self-love. Journal your thoughts. Journal your feelings. Journal your emotions. Journal what the fuck is happening with you. And you'll find that when you look back, oftentimes you'll say, that wasn't even me. That wasn't my thought. That wasn't my feeling. That wasn't my emotion. Like, it's a really therapeutic practice, okay? So it's important that you do that. Another aspect to focus on would be creating boundaries. Boundaries are very important in the self-love journey, okay? So establishing boundaries not only preserve your relationships, it preserves your sense of self, okay? Because boundaries, it has a negative connotation to it, and people think that it sounds like a bad thing and it's a hard thing. Now, it may be a little tough, but it's not an impossible feat by any means. And I can promise you that when you establish healthy boundaries, people in your life that are meant to be in your life will honor them and they will respect them. And people that don't are people that do not need to be in your life, okay? It's a part of the shedding process, and you have to learn to accept that as fact. All people in your life will not stay in your life if you continue a self-love path, okay? Some people are completely accepting of their ability to use you. Now, this can be on a small scale and it can be on a large scale. It literally, it can vary. But it's something to consider. Boundaries are fucking beautiful. They're very necessary, and they help you to establish a sense of self. When you create these boundaries, you create the vibration to which people are to match, okay? Now, it's just like a radio station when you're, on a road trip. The strongest radio station is the one that's going to take over. Okay? So if that means you got to change the song to switch up your vibration and to raise it higher, people will tune into that shit. Okay? You just have to be accepting that the old station that was playing is too fucking staticky for where you are right now, and you must go forward. Alright? So this goes with all things. Now, I understand that many people have other people in their lives to which they are a little more limited in the boundaries. Like, they can't cut these people out of their lives entirely. I don't have any children. I'm not married. I have absolutely no obligation. I can cut absolutely anybody out of my life. And I know a lot of people aren't as fortunate to do so. But with that, you also have to learn how to establish boundaries with these people. Like, you have to understand that there are aspects of certain relationships that need to change in order for you to become a happier person, and you must be willing to take action in order to ensure that this happens. Now, the way that you do this is by slowly but surely establishing these boundaries, stating what it is and why, and from there enforcing it. So let me give you an example. A good boundary would be, okay, dating. Ooh, good one. Dating is tough in 2018, okay? Anyway, so when dating, I establish tons of boundaries. It's iron over here, okay? Now, with that, when I establish these boundaries, and a boundary would be something like somebody who texts you and says, like, what's up? And that's it. You know what I mean? I had a guy do this to me. We exchanged numbers on an online thing, and he would text me like every day, what's up? What's up? What's up? But that was it. Like, I would respond and the conversation would dwindle, and that would be it. So, like, establishing a boundary would be literally as quick as saying, this shit is unacceptable. I'm not even gonna take this. I'm not even gonna see where your head is at, because it's obviously not where I want it to be. Boundary, boom, cut you out. You're gone. Another example would be waiting. Let's say he's a gentleman, and you do go several months and you're talking, and he's a complete gentleman, and he respects your boundaries by not attempting to have sexual acts with you, and he waits for you to initiate. Like, these are boundaries, but the thing with this is you have to set the tone, okay? You have to let it be known that we're not even talking about sex at all. It's not even a conversation. Don't even worry about it. Don't mention anything. If a guy mentions anything about sex within the first few days, weeks, month of dating, maybe not a month, first days, weeks of dating, I am totally instant. So these are boundaries. These are things, like, literally, these are boundaries. Somebody calls you all the time and they're always asking you for a ride. No, I cannot. I've got a job. I've got a life. I've got obligations. I cannot. I love you. I'll do what I can when I can, but I'm not an Uber X. These are boundaries, okay? And you'll learn that when you place these boundaries, you have a higher respect for yourself, and people will respect how much you respect yourself, okay? So these are just a few things for the self-love, beginning the journey, how to really, what it means, and steps you can take to really start. So I'm still new with the whole YouTube-y thing, the whole video thing. I hope you guys like, enjoy, subscribe, comment, I don't know, all that stuff. Let me know if there are any other topics that you would like for me to touch on. I got you. I love you.